In this video, we are going to see how we can set up the Omni-Channel in Lightning environment. So we are going to do the step-by-step solution, how to enable Omni-Channel and then how to test that Omni-Channel with a community site or with a custom Salesforce site. So these are the few steps that we are going to follow, from enabling a Salesforce site to adding the console, adding our Omni-Channel to the console so that we can test our Omni-Channel. So what we are going to do is we will be creating some custom Salesforce site. After that we will be enabling Omni-Channel. After that there are steps to create service channels. What are service channels? We will also discuss those. Then we have routing configuration, we have presence configuration, presence status, then we have decline status, and then what we are going to do is we are going to create queues and routing configurations as well. So before we go ahead, a very basic overview of what Omni-Channel is. Omni-Channel is a single place where you can get all your work for your sales representatives and your service representatives as well. So unlike live agent, it is not only for your service representatives to provide the service to your customers. Here you can have your sales representatives for the standard objects like lead, and then you have some custom objects as well. For all the custom objects you can enable Omni-Channel, and for the case we do have for case and live agent, that is also being used the Omni-Channel. So in Lightning environment there is no support of live agent. That's what we have to configure complete Omni-Channel there. So now let's quickly start step by step. So this is our Salesforce environment where we are going to configure our Omni-Channel. So first step is we are going to enable a site. So we'll be quickly going back to setup. From the quick search box, just type sites and open your sites here. So if you do have enabled your site, you are good to go. You can skip this step. What I'm going to use is I'm going to use the same domain that I have enabled for my Salesforce environment, and then I'm going to register a site for me. And then immediate after that, once my site is registered and ready to use, I'm going to create a new site here, and I will name this my site as a SFDC Panther here. For the site contact, it is myself as well. I'm going to make this active, and for the active home page I'm going to select some random page. I no need to worry about what the page is, and then I'm just quickly going to save it. So now we have our site. Now next step is to enable the Omni-Channel. So as we are going to work for Lightning environment, we will be working in Lightning environment as well. Just for enabling the Salesforce site, I'm using this classic environment. So as you can see that here we are on Lightning environment, and if you are an admin, you do have full access to your Salesforce environment. You have full control over your Salesforce environment. Once you will click on this gear icon, you will see that you have got two options. One is setup and one is service setup. So we just need to click on this service setup option, and once you will click on that, you will see a new setup for this, and there will be a brand new lookup for you. This is a brand new home page for service setup only. Service setup means including instant bot. We do have some recommendations, we do have knowledge articles, we have email to case, web to case. All these things we can get from here, and we can set up those things very quickly. So now to set up Omni-Channel, what we are going to do is we are just going to click on view all and type here Omni-Channel setup. So once you will type here Omni-Channel, or you will start typing Omni-Channel here, you will see that there is an option called Omni-Channel setup. Select that option. You will see some pop-up for you just to configure prerequisites like creating a queue, then assigning some work items, and then what will be the maximum capacity for an agent. All those we are going to configure here itself only. So for the queue event, I'm going to say that here high priority cases. So and for the name, I'm just going to name as high priority cases without space. Now to whom, like what are all the users which I wanted to assign this, I wanted to add into this queue. I wanted to handle any cases which are coming to this queue. Who will be the user who actually will be working on those cases. So I do have two users which are standard sales, which are using Salesforce license, and even I have only two Service Cloud license that I can assign here. So I'm just using one. I'm going to use only one, that is me, SFDC Panther. and just I'm going to select next. Now you can see that we have got two input box. One is saying that work item size and one is saying that agent capacity. So what work item size is? Work item size is nothing, it is going to define the size of your item. So suppose that we are creating this queue particular only for case object. So how many units your case is going to take? So we are going to put here 2. That means every case will be taking 2 unit of items. That means here you see that we have agent capacity. Agent capacity is the maximum number of capacity that agent can handle. Now let's discuss with an example here. We have provided the work item size for a case is 2 and then for the agent capacity is 10. I'm sorry, 20. That means if we assign 10 cases to the agent, then agent capacity is 20. That means agent having its full capacity. Agent is being utilized by its full capacity. Now if you try to assign 11th case to the agent, then that case will not go to that agent. That is what this work item size is. Basically nothing, just to define the size of a particular size of a case record, because we are going to use this queue only for the case purpose. And now then we do have agent capacity here, that is 20. So if you wanted to reduce this like 10 or 5 or 4, you can make as per your wish. So as of now we are going to leave it at default and then click on next. So what it will do is, behind the scene it will create a queue for us on the case object, and then it will also create some it will enable the Omni-Channel, and then we have some other things to enable that we were discussing about. So you can see here Omni-Channel is ready to go into your console, and we can click here, or we are going to click on finish. Now we are done with our Omni-Channel thing. We enabled Omni-Channel. Next thing is to enable to create the routing configuration. So whenever we are enabling an Omni-Channel into our Salesforce environment, what it does, it creates a default routing channel for us. And what is routing configuration? Let's quickly navigate to there into routing configuration section, and then we will discuss. So once you will type routing here, under Omni-Channel you will see routing configuration, and this is where we are going to work. So you can see here we have got one routing configuration with the default name that we have provided for our queue, that is high priority routing cases. So what this routing configuration is basically going to do is, it is going to prioritize our work, the work that that our agents are going to get, either from live agent or from cases or leads or some chat or SOS services. So from the various channels we are going to get the work, and then how that work is going to prioritize and where needs to be sent. That is where this routing configuration come into the picture, and we can create multiple routing configuration for a single org. Now suppose that for the cases we have created high priority cases, and then we have here, let's quickly edit this to discuss multiple parameters that we have. So now here you can see these are the name that we given here. It is automatically creating behind the scene, and under the routing settings you can see here we have got routing priority. This is the priority based on which our Omni-Channel is going to decide to which routing channel I need to send this piece of work that we are getting from various channels. Now under that routing priority we have got one more field that is called as routing model, and under this we have got 3 options. One is most available, another one is least active, and then we have got third option, that is external routing. So what least active is, whenever we are selecting this routing model, so what Omni-Channel is going to do behind the scene, it is going to select the user which have the least amount of work. Suppose that a user agent total capacity is 20 and the user has only number of unit that user is being utilized is 4, and there is another agent which have total capacity of 20 as well, and that agent is utilized by 15 or we can say 16 units. So what will happen in this case, whatever the record that we are getting from the various channels, that is going to route to the least available agent, that is least active agent, that is basically the agent which is being less utilized by the system. and the just opposite for this agent, for this model, for the least available is most available. Now in the same case, if we took the example of the previous one that we were discussing, again if you do have two agents A and B, A is being utilized very less. A has a work unit, like, so let's say that 4, and there is another agent that is B which has work unit of 6, and the total capacity of both the agents is 20. So in that case, what it's going to do is it is going to route the case to the most available agent, that is 6 unit 1, that means our agent B. And then we have another option which is saying that push timeout in seconds. So what this option is, that suppose that if you define here 10 seconds, so what it will do, it will wait 10 seconds for a user, for an agent to accept the unit of work, accept the work. If the user is not accepting the work within the 10 seconds, that Omni-Channel is going to do is, Omni-Channel will pick up that work from that agent where the work is waiting, and will route it to another agent which is available based on our routing model. So that is what this particular setting is going to do. And then we have units of capacity. So if you remember, that unit of capacity that we sent, or that we set while enabling Omni-Channel, that we set was 2. So this is again the capacity is that the capacity that a particular record, or we can say that a record is going to hold. In our case, that is a case record which is going to hold. Now let's quickly discuss about a new routing model we are going to create here. Let's say that we are going to say here leads. This routing model we are going to use for lead object only, and we are going to say priority 1. So priority can be same for different routing configurations, and based on the priority whatever the settings, and then there are multiple settings that Omni-Channel is going to decide where to send. Now routing model is we are going to say most available, and push timeout second, let's make it 60 seconds, and number of capacity we are going to say, for the lead we are going to give it a maximum capacity, that is 5. So out of these two fields, like we have percentage of capacity, and then we have units of capacity. In these cases we can define only one, either units or percentage. So most of the cases we end up by defining the capacity, but if you want to define like for the 5, and you are intending to define your total number of capacity for the agent as a 20, so what you can do is you can uh, define here 25%. How it will act like 5 is even 25% of 20, so that's how you can define that thing. So that's how now let's quickly save this. So this was about routing configuration, and you can see here there is no queue which is related to that particular routing. And if you get back to our routing configuration, that was high priority cases, we will see that there is a queue which is related to this routing configuration. So what the use of this queue is, we are going to discuss in the next few minutes as well. So as an high level, whatever the items will be coming to this route configuration will be routed to this particular case, and the users which are adding to this queue will be getting the pop-up based on that timeout that we are sending, or that we are setting at our routing configuration level. Now the next thing is, let's configure presence status, or presence configuration instead of status, and we will also configure those. So now you can see that for the presence configuration we have got two. One is the status that we just created, and then we have a default presence configuration that Salesforce creates behind the scene whenever we are enabling an Omni-Channel. So here we are going to discuss both. Now we cannot delete the default one because that is created by Salesforce itself, but we can delete we can delete our custom that we created, and we can edit both the standard one and the custom ones as well. So what this presence configuration done is, this is the configuration which is related to an agent. So whenever let's quickly edit this, and then we can discuss more about that. So now you can see here under the presence configuration, this is the name and the developer name that we gave there. Even this is automatically going to populate the developer name. What is the capacity? So again, the capacity is the total capacity of an agent which are assigned with this presence configuration. So you can see here we selected only one user, that was SFDC Panther. So this user have the maximum capacity of work that the user can handle is 20. And if you talk about our cases, or if we say that about our leads, that means if a user is then user is being utilized by 100%. If a user is owning only three leads, that means user is being utilized by 75%. So that is how that work item size and this capacity work. And then we have other fields like automatically accept the request. That means if you check this checkbox, so whenever any request will come to this presence configuration, and whatever the first user will be popping up, that record is going to automatically accepted and the owner will be changing. Allow agents to decline request. If you want to allow your agent to decline the request, sometimes there might be, because of some misconfiguration of routings, there might be some agents who are getting the wrong values they can get there. So if we are declining this, then we have to update the status. That's what we are going to uncheck this checkbox, and once we have defined the decline regions, we are going to check this as well. Then we have allow agents to choose a decline region. Yes, definitely we can choose a decline region as well. We will also discuss what decline region is and how it works. And then we have request sound enabled. That means if this is enabled, whenever there might be a possibilities that user is on different tab and then a request pops up, then user must be able to hear that voice. That is what this checkbox says. And then another checkbox is saying that if you are disconnecting, then again tell the user that you have got disconnected from the chat or from the work that you are working with. And then for the users, you can have different users. You can add selected users to this configuration, and all the users will get the maximum number of capacity is 20. And then you have some profiles. You can also select the profiles as well. Suppose that I'm selecting system administrator, and then we can save it. Unlike that, we have new one here. We can create this as well, and then all the things, all the all the configuration that we just discussed, we need to make sure that we have done as per our business needs, and then we can create a new configuration. Now let's talk about presence status, as we are here itself in the presence status. So what presence status are? So presence status are those status which will be available at the user whenever user is using Omni-Channel. So suppose that by default we have got three, like for available cases we have got busy, we have got on break. There might be, we wanted to create some few more presence status, like saying that available for leads. So let's quickly say here, instead of available for cases, we are going to say available for leads. So that means once this user is setting that available for leads, we are going to route the leads to the user. This status is going to decide what kind of work that agent is going to accept. So that's what here, it is an online. What are the available channels? We have Omni set of flows, cases. This is only for cases. Now this is that this is not what we want. We want leads. So we will come back to the presence status, and then we will define more status. Before we go ahead, let's quickly create service channels. So what service channels are? Service channels are the channels, or we can say that various channels by which we can accept the work. So by default we have got here Omni-Channel for the cases that we enabled from our setup while we did the first step. We can go to settings, we can create a new here. Let's say that now we are going to say here leads, because we wanted the lead as well. So here from the object we are going to select lead, and then here we don't want it to select these two. So if you have some custom footer component, you can select that as well. If you wanted to minimize your Omni-Channel visit once the work order is accepted, you can choose that as well, and then save it here. If you wanted to define service channels for more records or for more objects, you can create more, like you can say here we have got request, or we have got leads, we have order and latitude and longitude. This is a custom object, and order is a standard object that we have got here. And then you can create as much as service channels you want here. And then now let's quickly talk about presence status. So now we were talking about that what kind of or it is going to define the behavior of our agent, what kind of work that agent wants. Now this time we want only lead. So this presence status is defined only for the lead object. So whenever user want to accept the work related to the leads, they can select this status and they will not get the work for cases or live agent or for orders. Now let's define decline regions, presence decline region. Sometimes say that a user doesn't want to take the work, and once they are they are denying the work, the business requirement is that they should provide a valid reason why they are denying that work. So in that case, we can create presence decline region. So let's say that here wrong queue, that is the one that is one region that I'm going to say here, and I'm going to use only one, or if you want to use here you can say here out for break, and there might be some other presence decline region that you wanted to define for your business. Now if you talk about presence configuration that we were talking, that we have got some few checkboxes that we are discussing. So now if we talk about that, allow agents to decline request, that means click on yes. So once they are declining, change their status to we have created on break. Let's quickly change this on break, and then say that allow agents to choose a decline region. We are going to say that yes, and then choose any region from this available regions that we are selecting for this presence configuration. So now we are going to save this. We will see in action like how this is going to prompt to the user to select a region and all. Now we have got all this setup, presence configuration, decline region. Now next thing is that let's quickly configure our queue. So we have queue, that means first queue, it has been created by default for the cases. If we edit this queue, we will see that our routing configuration is assigned to this queue that was high priority cases. That means whenever any case, we can say that whenever the owner of any cases will be this queue, high priority cases, this routing configuration is going to work behind the scene, and then it is going to route the work to the agents, to the appropriate agents based on the routing model that we have defined at the routing configuration, and it is also going to take care of the number of unit of work and the number of capacity that we have defined, work item size and the capacity. And then if you wanted to add more users here, suppose that I wanted to add all users here, and then click on save. So this was for the cases. If you don't assign your queue with the presence configuration, and then you are going to change the status, or you are going to change the owner of a record to that queue, that is not going to work, and that is not going to route to the agents, because that is not associated with any routing configuration, any routing algorithm, we can say. Now let's quickly create a few for leads here. So we can say here high priority case, high priority leads, or we can only name it as leads. If you want to provide some queue email, you can send the email here, and after that if you have a checkbox this, you can select this checkbox. So what will happen whenever a lead is going to assign to this leads queue here, or we can say that I'm going to say leads queue. So what will happen, the number of the members, all the members of this queue is going to get an email. Now let's select the routing configuration for the leads here. So we created that was leads only, and what is the object, for which object we wanted to create this queue. So we have lead here because we are going to create for this lead only, and then again we are going to select all the users and then click on save. So you can see that this queue is already existing into the system. So I'm going to say leads queues, and I'm just going to make it as a plural label, and that there is nothing, so we should be able to save this now. So now we have got this queue here that is leads queues, and then we have also one queue that is lead queue. So let's quickly edit this as well, and then we are going to select here, we have got this routing configuration, and then everything is here, which one we selected. Okay, So we have got two queues that we just created. One is lead queue and one is leads queues. So now we have got three queue here. So what we did is we enabled the site, we enabled omni-channel, we set the work item size, the total number of capacity for a agent, and then we set up our presence status. We set up the presence configuration so that we can route the request to the agents based on their capacity. We configured the presence status as well. We configured the routing configuration, configured queues, and then we also configured decline region. So all things that needed to work with or we can say to set up the omni-channel, we have configured everything. Now next thing that we need to do is we need to add our presence status to the profile, because we created few presence status but we did not added those at a profile level. So if we will not enable those presence status to the profiles, any users will not be able to access those presence status. So now let's quickly get back to our normal setup, that is full setup. So we are going to say here profiles, and as my profile is system administrator, I'm going to provide or I'm going to access provide the access to the presence status that we just created, so that we can see all those status at a omni-channel level. And then what we will do is we will provide we will add the omni-channel into the console. So once you will open your profile, you might see a different look at there as well, but there is a related list that you will see is enabled service presence status access. So you just need to edit that, and then once you will edit, you will see all the presence status that you created or that has been created by Salesforce while enabling omni-channel. You just need to click select all and then add those into the enable service presence statuses, then save those. Once you are done with this, now we are ready to add our omni-channel into the console application and then use that. So for that, what we are going to do is now we are going to go to app manager here. Why we are going to app manager? Because omni-channel is always going to work on a console application, and we already have a console application in Lightning by default. So if you see here in the app type, application type, we are saying classic, we have connected application, and then if you scroll down, we don't have that application. It should be here, service console. This is the one, service console Lightning. This is a sales console. We are going to work on service console. This is the one. The name of application is service console. Developer API name is Lightning service, and then you just need to click edit here on the drop down and then select edit. So what it will do, it will open a builder for us. So basically app builder page where we can add the utilities into our application, and for our utility is omni-channel that we are going to add. So you will see your interface like this, and then select utility items desktop only, and it will give you the interface like this. And by default you will see the omni-channel here. If you don't see, click on add utility item and search for omni-channel and then select omni-channel. Now you can see that we have got two omni-channels. We don't want it to use both of them, so I'm just going to remove one. And even if as I didn't make any changes, I'm going to click on back and I will be back into my app manager section. So now what we are going to do is we are going to quickly switch back to our console application here to see that if the omni-channel is there or not. So now let's quickly get back to our, click on this app launcher, and then we will see here, then we have got service console, that is our application. Open that app and you will see that here on the bottom right, on the bottom left, you can see that we have got omni-channel here. We have new work, we have my work. My work means that the work that you are working, the records, the whose owner is assigned, or you can say that the owner of those records is you. And then new one is the work that is going to route to based on the routing services, or we can say that based on the omni-channel configuration settings. So by default it is an offline system. we are going to say that available for cases. So once you will see here, it is going to log in. Now we are able to see this green tick mark. That means we are login. We are available into Omni-Channel. Now let's quickly clone this case and see what will happen. So as of now, if we see the button for cloning the case, we are definitely going to clone that. So we are going to clone this case here, and we will change the status. We will say our website is down, and everything will remain same. So subject is going to say website is down, change the status to new, okay, and then click on save. So once we will save, we will get nothing, no pop-up is there. You can see here on the Omni-Channel why it is happening. It should give us the pop-up. No, it should not give us any pop-up. Why? Because if you see here, the case owner is myself. Case owner is a user. We wanted to change this to a queue. So now we are going to change to a queue here, or let's quickly click on cancel, and here we are going to change the owner. So okay, not case owner here. From the details page, click on this change owner. Now we have got this pop-up here because earlier we were not able to see what we are doing. Now we need to select user queues from the drop down. Now search for the queue here, and the queue name was high priority cases, that is here, and then we are going to do the change owner. So now the magic should happen. Here you can see my Omni-Channel is saying that I have got a work which is saying website is down, and now I'm getting the timer here as well. As soon as I will select this, let's quickly select this case, and boom, you can see here the owner has been changed to me. And if you see here, what we did here, we created a case, we updated the owner from SFDC Panther to high priority cases, and then once we selected that, we saw that here a new feed has been created from high priority cases to SFDC Panther. And if you see here my work, I can see that this is the case that I'm working with. Now let's quickly switch back to available for leads. Now for my work, I will see the cases that, because I'm the owner of that case, that's what I'm getting here based on the Omni-Channel, because all the records are against my name. So the work that you will get here, which has been assigned by Omni-Channel. Now what we are going to do is, let's quickly change the owner for this record as well and see if we are able to get the pop-up or not. This time we should not be able to get the pop-up because the status is only for the leads, but still we will see here. Let's change it, and we will not see the pop-up here. You can see the owner is high priority cases. There is nothing in our new work. Now what we are going to do is, we are going to quickly see if we do have leads here in the drop down. We don't have, so let's quickly edit and add those leads here. Add more items. I'm going to say just add lead for me, just for the testing purpose. So I'm going to add here, add one item and save this. So now I must have gotten this lead into my navigation item. I'm going to select that lead here, going to create a new lead, and I will say a test lead for us. So let's quickly say I'm a test lead here for the company SFDC Panther, and there is nothing to worry about that more. Now let's save this. We have created this lead, still no pop-up will be here. Again, the reason is that we need to change the owner of our lead record. So let's collapse this, and now I'm going to change this. So the owner of my lead record from the details tab. So let's change the owner. Now we have got, that is leads queue. We had two queues, so we are going to select any of those. Sorry, we need to select the queue here first, and then we need to do leads queue. Oh god, why? Okay, let's wait. Now we have got select one. So we selected this leads queue and then click on change owner. So now we should be able to getting this pop-up. Yes, we are getting here. Now you can see we have got new that is work 1. Then we have got capacity, sorry, my work. So once I will select this, as of now, who is the owner? Okay, the owner is SFDC Panther. Why it has been changed? Because it is directly coming to me. As soon as if I click on this cross, it is saying that select a reason for decline. Why you are declining this work? I'm saying that wrong queue, and this I'm submitting it. So now you can see that I have only one work, and the status has been changed to on break, because we selected if we are decline any work, we are denying any work, the status needs to be changed. Now again, let's quickly change the status to available for leads. Change the status to any queue that was queue is we have got leads queue, and then change the owner. This time we should be able to see the pop-up. As soon as the pop-up will be here for the Omni-Channel. Okay, we are not able to see. Yep, the reason is that we declined this work, so this work will not come this agent again. So that is also one thing. If you have declined any work, then that work is not going to route to you by Omni-Channel. But again, if you have some other work that is coming to you, so let's quickly try to create a new lead here. We can say that lead 1. Owner will definitely be me because I'm creating the lead, but after creating that lead, we are going to create and we will see what we are getting here. So let's quickly change it, change the owner to the queue here, and then we have got lead queues. Okay, now we have got the owner here. Let's change it and see. Hope this time we will get the pop-up. Yep, we are getting. So now this time we are going to accept, and the my work is going to update from 1 to, okay, we have got here my work is 2. One is case, one is late. So the reason why we are not getting the pop-up, because we denied that work once, like earlier it was coming to us and then we denied, saying that it is wrong queue. That means that work is not going to come us to again. It will find another available agent and then will write route to that here. Now the question might be there, every time we are creating a record, we are changing the owner. How we can automate to change the owner? So for that we are going to automate, like we are going to say here assignment rule. So let's quickly create an case assignment rule. So what it will do is, whenever we are going to create an owner here, sorry, we can let's quickly say here high priority cases. Sorry for the typo mistake. Let's make it as active. So what we will do is, whenever a case is being created, we are going to route to that case, sorry, that queue. So we are going to create one rule entry. So here it is going to, order will be 1. For the filter criteria, I'm just going to say case origin equals to all the origins you can select here, because we don't want who will be the owner. We wanted the owner as a queue here, so we are going to select queue. So here it is a high priority cases, and now let's quickly save this. So now we have got our active case assignment rule for us. Let's get back to our console application. Switch the change the status of our Omni-Channel from available for leads to available cases, and then we are going to create a case and we'll see what will happen. So from the drop down, select cases and then click on new here. Again we will say here origin should be anything, so we are going to select phone, and then subject is let's say that assignment rule here. So now we have got here, let's quickly save this. Once we are saved, from the new tab you can see here we have got low, and that's it. New case number is 1026. Sorry, okay, yeah, 1026. We just need to okay, this is the one that we got, that is But what about 1027? The assignment rule didn't work, so we need to make sure that that's why the reason because we didn't get that because the assignment rule didn't work for us, so that's why we are not getting that pop-up. But yeah, you can create an assignment rule, and that assignment rule is going to change the owner of your your item, and then your item is going to pop up into your omni-channel based on whatever the rules or the configurations that you have made behind the scene. So this is it. Like these are the step-by-step guide for you to enable the omni-channel and then test those omni-channel for the different or for the various service channels that are available inside Salesforce environment. Hope you have enjoyed and you have learned something new. Please feel free to contact me, or if you have any doubt, feel free to put down into the comment section, and please do like, share and subscribe the channel. Thank you.